And let me tell you something that will change the way you walk into every room. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to prove a point. And baby, you definitely don't need to react. You know what breaks them? Silence, success, and a smile that says, I moved on while you were still playing games. You're not here to argue. You're here to own. The real power is when they expect you to break, but you build. So don't react, just do this and watch them crumble. They say silence is golden, but let me tell you something deeper. Silence is power. Pure, unshakable, magnetic power. In a world where everyone is screaming to be heard, the one who stays quiet owns the room. Silence is not the absence of voice. It's the presence of control. And when you master that, you become untouchable. Think about it. You're in an argument. Your heart is racing. They're yelling, blaming, twisting facts, trying to get under your skin. Your instinct wants to snap back, defend, explain. But instead, you take a breath, lock your eyes with theirs, and say nothing. No panic, no chaos, just calm. That silence, it echoes louder than any insult. It shakes the ground under their ego. Because now, you're in charge. Silence makes people uncomfortable because it forces them to face themselves. When you stop reacting, they're left alone with their own noise, their guilt, their fear, their insecurities, all bouncing off the walls of their mind with no escape. That's why silence is powerful. It turns the mirror back on them. It's not revenge, it's revelation. Let me give you a real-world example. A woman I know was cheated on. Everyone expected her to throw a scene, to cry, to beg for answers. You know what she did? She packed her bags, booked a flight, disappeared for a month. No texts, no calls, no Instagram stories. She went silent. And guess what? That man who thought he had the upper hand was shaking. The silence drove him mad. Who is she with? Why isn't she reacting? When she finally returned, she walked into that same space, glowing, upgraded, unfazed. And he looked like a ghost that had just realized he was already buried. Silence is strategy. You don't show your hand in a poker game, do you? No, you play it close, calm, calculated. In the same way, silence gives you the upper edge in every situation, business, relationships, drama. When they expect a storm and get silence, it rattles them. And in that stillness, you're building. While they're trying to figure you out, you're already 10 steps ahead. Another example. Ever been in a workplace where someone tried to sabotage you? Spread rumors, throw you under the bus. Most people get defensive, emotional, reactive, but not you. You show up every day, calm, efficient. You let your results speak. Your silence becomes your loudest roar. It tells the room, I don't chase attention, I attract respect. Here's the secret most people don't want to hear. When you react, you hand over your power. But when you stay silent, you hold it. You become unpredictable, unreadable. And in that mystery, people project their own fears onto you. They don't know what you're doing with your mind. They keep you down. You can't afford to fail. You can only succeed on your own. You can't complain to someone else because you know what? You're lost sight. So, you know what You know what thinking, so they assume the worst. That's when they crumble, not because you hurt them, but because they can't control you. Even in friendships and family dynamics. When someone disrespects you, when they cross a line, you don't need to yell or cry. You just pull back, withdraw your presence, withdraw your energy. Let them feel the weight of your silence. Let them realize that access to you was a privilege, not a guarantee. Your absence will teach them what your words never could. There's a reason queens don't scream to be heard. They sit on thrones. And when they speak, it's rare but powerful. You don't need to shout. You just need to stop showing up where you're not respected. You don't need to argue. Just let your silence say, "You lost me the moment you thought I wouldn't rise." There's something incredibly powerful about moving in silence while leveling up, so loudly that the world has no choice but to notice when you're already there. This is what I mean when I say, upgrade yourself loudly but privately. Let the transformation speak. Let the glow make the noise. Let your progress be so loud it drowns out every whisper that once doubted you. You don't need to post every gym session. You don't need to announce every plan. You don't need to prove anything. Let your actions speak in rooms your words haven't entered yet. There's a woman I met who was constantly underestimated at work, passed over for promotions, labeled too soft. She didn't complain. She didn't fight back. She didn't even argue when they overlooked her again and again. What did she do? She took a coding course at night. She worked on her leadership skills in silence. She read, she built, she strategized, and then boom, one day she resigned. No warning, no drama. Left for a bigger company with double the pay and her own team. Now the same people who ignored her are watching her on LinkedIn, wondering how she did it. That's the magic of upgrading in private. The reveal is powerful. See? The problem is, we're addicted to validation. We want the world to clap for every baby step we take. But real growth, real transformation, it doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't scream for approval. It happens in silence. In those early mornings when no one's watching. In those late nights when it's just you, the grind, and your dreams. You want to inspire people? Don't tell them. Show them. Don't announce every seed you plant. Let them be stunned by the garden that blooms. Here's another truth. Not everyone wants to see you win. Some people are silently rooting for your failure. That's why upgrading privately is not just powerful, it's protective. They can't block blessings they don't see coming. They can't throw shade on progress they're unaware of. Your silence is your armor. Your discipline is your weapon. Take relationships, for example. Let's say someone broke you, lied, betrayed, left you in pieces. Everyone's watching to see how you'll spiral. But instead of ranting on social media or throwing public tantrums, you disappear. You start reading books. You hit the gym. You get your skin glowing, your mindset glowing, your energy glowing. You level up your life so fiercely in silence that by the time they try to come back, you're unrecognizable. Not because you changed who you are, but because you evolved into everything they thought you couldn't be. Your glow up doesn't need an audience. It needs intention. It needs commitment. It needs focus. Don't be the one shouting from the rooftops, "I'm working on myself." Be the one who shows up 6 months later, unbothered, unrecognizable, unstoppable. You don't need to prove your worth. You need to become so worthy that nothing can touch you. A girl I know used to get mocked for having a small business. They called her just another Instagram seller. While they laughed, she learned. She studied trends, worked with suppliers, invested every dollar back into her brand. She didn't flaunt her growth, she upgraded quietly. And today, that girl runs a 6-figure e-commerce empire with clients across the world. The same ones who mocked her now ask for discounts. You see, when you upgrade privately, your success becomes your announcement. So every time you want to clap back, work instead. Every time you want to post for attention, focus instead. Your breakthrough doesn't need to go viral. It needs to be real. Let them wonder how you did it. Let them ask where you went. Let them feel your upgrade without you saying a word. Stop explaining. Stop justifying. Stop trying to convince people of your worth, your intentions, your dreams. Let your results do the talking. Because here's the truth. People only hear what they're ready to understand. And most of them, they don't want your explanation. They want your reaction. They want your energy. Don't give it. Give them silence. Give them progress. Give them outcomes so undeniable, so loud, so real, that your success becomes the only language they can hear. You don't need to explain why you cut someone off. You don't need to defend why you're working late, skipping parties, or saying no to distractions. Let the glow in your eyes, the calm in your mind, and the shift in your lifestyle speak. When you stop explaining, you reclaim your power. Because explaining is a form of begging. It says, please understand me. But results say, watch me. Let me tell you a story. There's a girl who dreamed of becoming an actress. But people in her town laughed. They said she didn't have the look, didn't have the voice, didn't have the connections. She tried explaining, telling them she was taking classes, working part-time, auditioning non-stop. But their minds were already made up. So one day, she stopped explaining. She moved cities. She worked in silence. She faced rejection after rejection. And then, boom, she landed a breakthrough role. Now, the same people who laughed are quoting her lines. They're sharing her scenes. They're tagging her in posts, like they believed in her from day one. But she knows. She remembers. That's why she never needed to explain. Because her results became her revenge. In your job, in your hustle, in your healing journey, you don't owe anyone a speech. Some people question your silence because they're used to the old you. The one who would break down, justify, over-explain. But the new you is about peace, not approval. I remember a man who started a tech business in his garage. Friends mocked him. Family doubted him. He'd spend nights trying to explain his vision, trying to make them see what he saw. Until one day, he realized their disbelief was not his burden. So he stopped. No more explanations. He just built, day by day, brick by brick. And then suddenly, years later, his company was acquired by a major firm, multi-million deal. Headlines, interviews. You know what they said then? We always knew he had potential. But the truth is, they never did. They just couldn't deny the result. Explanations are for those still trying to convince. But you're not here to convince. You're here to conquer. You're not here to prove. You're here to produce. You don't need everyone to understand your path. You just need to walk it. The louder your results, the quieter your need to explain. And when people start asking, how did you do it? That's a funny, it's a funny limited experience has to share. I think the quieter you are, the less you know you need to be. So the less you know you need to be. And you have to be village. What an image. When you smile and say, I was doing it when you were too busy doubting me to notice. Even in relationships, romantic or family. When people take you for granted, hurt you, or misjudge your intentions, don't waste your breath trying to explain your heart. Just disappear, heal, level up. Let the next version of you be so upgraded, so divine, so elevated, that the only explanation left is in their regret, not your words, their realization. They won't understand your silence until they see your success. And by then, they won't deserve your voice. So build, create, transform. Let your life become the proof. Let your success become the story. Let your presence become the statement that no explanation could ever deliver. Your energy is not random. It's sacred. It's divine. It's the currency of your soul. You need to protect it. Like it's royalty, because it is. Every time you walk into a room, every time you speak, give, love, forgive, or dream, you are spending energy. And if you keep pouring into people, situations, and conversations that drain you instead of elevate you, you will be empty before your time. So no, protecting your energy is not selfish. It's survival, it's success, it's power. Look around. How many people are tired, not because of work, but because of people? Because of arguments they never needed to enter, calls they should have ignored, gossip they entertained, and apologies they never deserved to give. Every moment you engage with chaos, you abandon peace. Every time you overextend for people who wouldn't even lift a finger for you, you hand them the crown that belongs to your energy. Would a queen invite thieves into her castle? Would a king hand over his throne to critics? Then why are you letting people sit in the VIP section of your life without earning a ticket? There's a woman I knew, ambitious, creative, kind to the point of self-destruction. She used to say yes to everyone. She thought being nice meant being available, being good meant being agreeable. And slowly her light started to fade. She was burnt out, bitter, confused about why she felt so exhausted all the time. Until one day she looked in the mirror and realized she was running an emotional palace with no guards. That day she changed. She stopped picking up every call. She stopped explaining herself to people who only wanted access, not connection. Today, her circle is smaller, but her peace is louder. Protecting your energy looks like saying no without guilt. It looks like walking away from people who thrive in drama. It looks like not replying to every message, not attending every event, not engaging in every fight. It looks like unfollowing toxic pages. It looks like not picking up the phone for someone who drains you every single time. Why? Because your energy is not for everyone. It's for those who nourish you, challenge you, inspire you, not those who use you as an emotional dumping ground. I remember this one time. I was at a dinner and someone started throwing passive-aggressive shade about my past, about my choices. Everyone looked at me waiting for a reaction. You know what I did? I smiled, sipped my water, and changed the topic. Because I refuse to bleed energy where it's not valued. That's the lesson. Not everything deserves a reaction. Not everyone deserves a response. Your energy is not to be wasted on proving yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Even in relationships, whether it's friendships or love, protecting your energy means constantly feel like a battlefield. If someone's love feels like war, it's not love, it's warfare. And you weren't born to be a soldier in someone else's emotional civil war. You were born to reign in your own kingdom of purpose. A girl once told me she kept helping a guy who hurt her again and again because she believed he'd change. She explained herself, gave him grace, kept her heart open, but he didn't grow. He drained. And when she finally blocked him, she cried. Not because she missed him, but because she finally chose herself. That's what protecting your energy looks like. It looks like realizing you are not an emotional charity. You are a force, a flame, and not everyone deserves to sit by your fire. From now on, treat your energy like a crown jewel. Not everyone gets to touch it. Not everyone gets to see it. Some people will call you arrogant. Let them. Some will say you've changed. Let them. Some will feel entitled to your time, your heart, your spirit. Let them feel. But don't let them in. Because the version of you that's unstoppable, she's the one who stopped giving her energy away like it was on clearance. Pain is not the end of you. It is the beginning of your transformation. The world taught you to hide it, numb it, run from it. But what if I told you that your pain is not a punishment? It's raw power, waiting to be converted. The heartbreak, the betrayal, the sleepless nights. They weren't meant to destroy you. They were sent to wake you up. They were designed to ignite something inside of you that comfort never could. Pain is the fire that burns away the fake and leaves behind only what is real. You were not broken. You were being built. Neighborhood allowed. Her classmates mocked her accent, her background. She cried at night. But then something shifted. She stopped asking, why me? And started asking, what now? She took that ache and poured it into her books, her voice, her discipline. Years later, she stood on a global stage with the same accent, the same roots, and a crown on her head. And those who once mocked her were clapping like they'd always believed. That's the power of redirected pain. She didn't erase the hurt, she repurposed it. Think about the gym. When you lift weights, what's really happening? You tear the muscle fibers, you damage them, and then they rebuild. Stronger, bigger, better. That's what life does to you. Every heartbreak, every rejection, every failure, it's tearing you so that you can rebuild. But you must choose to grow. You must choose not to sink into bitterness, but to rise into brilliance. Neighborhood allowed. Her classmates mocked her accent, her background. She cried at night, but then something shifted. She stopped asking, why me? And started asking, what now? She took that ache and poured it into her books, her voice, her discipline. Years later, She stood on a global stage with the same accent, the same roots, and a crown on her head. And those who once mocked her were clapping like they'd always believed. That's the power of redirected pain. She didn't erase the hurt, she repurposed it. Think about the gym. When you lift weights, what's really happening? You tear the muscle fibers, you damage them, and then they rebuild. Stronger, bigger, better. That's what life does to you. Every heartbreak, every rejection, every failure, it's tearing you so that you can rebuild. But you must choose to grow. You must choose not to sink into bitterness, but to rise into brilliance. The sky is blue. The sky. I know a woman who gave everything to her relationship. Time, loyalty, dreams. She built her world around a man who ended up cheating, blaming her, walking away like she meant nothing. She could have folded. She could have believed she was unlovable. But no, she took that pain and rebuilt herself. She started her business. She healed, she glowed, and now she's not just successful, she's powerful. Not because she didn't feel the pain, but because she used it. Her heartbreak didn't kill her, it birthed her. Pain is a teacher with the sharpest lessons and the loudest silence. You can either sit in that pain and become a prisoner of your past, or you can use it as the reason you rise. There's a fire in pain that can either burn your life to ashes or forge you into something unbreakable. The choice is yours. You can scream, cry, bleed, but never forget to build. Take every insult and turn it into income. Take every "you're not enough" and use it as a mantra while you level up. Let every "you can't" echo in your ears when you walk on stages, when you enter boardrooms, when you create magic no one thought you could. Even in the smallest examples, that boss who overlooked you, that friend who ghosted you, that colleague who tried to dim your light, don't let the pain make you small. Let it build you into someone so elevated, they have to tilt their necks to look up. When you learn how to turn pain into purpose, there is no storm you can't survive, no betrayal you can't bounce back from, no loss that can define you. Someone once told me, your pain will either be your prison or your platform. And I never forgot that. So every time life tried to break me, I whispered back, thank you. Thank you for giving me something to rise from. Thank you for making my story louder, deeper, more legendary. Because the truth is, anyone can smile when it's easy. But it's the woman who builds in the dark, who blooms after the fire, who rises from her own ashes. She's the one who becomes unforgettable. That's what happens when you redirect pain into power. You stop surviving, you start reigning. There comes a time in your life when you stop giving warnings and start giving silence. When you stop negotiating your worth with people who keep trying to lowball your soul. That's the moment when power begins to rise, not in noise, not in rage, but in ruthless clarity. Silently cut, unapologetically win. That is the mantra of a woman who's done explaining herself, who's done playing small to fit into broken spaces, who's done carrying dead weight disguised as love, friendship, or loyalty. A woman once told me, I keep giving chances because I want to believe people can change. I looked her in the eyes and said, you don't need to believe in their change. You need to believe in your worth. Because when you love yourself deeply, you don't keep holding doors open for those who walk in just to drain the light. You close the door, lock it, and you build a whole palace on the other side. In silence, you don't need a goodbye party to cut someone off. You don't need to type out a 10-paragraph text explaining why they're no longer invited into your peace. Growth doesn't need a press release. Healing doesn't come with notifications. You just move different. You just stop replying. You stop begging. You stop showing up for people who never saw your value to begin with. And here's the beautiful twist. While they're busy talking about you, you're too busy building a life that makes noise on its own. I knew this girl who was mocked by her co-workers. Every time she spoke in meetings, they'd laugh. They'd undermine her, interrupt her, pretend like her ideas didn't matter. One day, she decided not to complain, not to cry, not to fight. She just stopped engaging. She started working twice as hard, stayed focused, and made sure every project she touched turned to gold. 1 year later, she got promoted. They got replaced. That's what happens when you silently cut and unapologetically win. No revenge, just results. You don't need to clap back. You need to glow back. You need to redirect your energy from proving them wrong to proving yourself right. Every moment you waste on explaining your exit to people who didn't value your presence is a moment stolen from your future. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them wonder where you went, why you're quiet, what changed. They'll figure it out when they see you shining in rooms they tried to keep you out of. One woman I know ended a long, toxic friendship without a single word. They were once. One day, she decided not to complain, not to cry, not to fight. She just stopped engaging. She started working twice as hard, stayed focused, and made sure every project she touched turned to gold. 1 year later, she got promoted. They got replaced. That's what happens when you silently cut and unapologetically win. No revenge, just results. You don't need to clap back. You need to glow back. You need to redirect your energy from proving them wrong to proving yourself right. Every moment you waste on explaining your exit to people who didn't value your presence is a moment stolen from your future. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them wonder where you went, why you're quiet, what changed. They'll figure it out when they see you shining in rooms they tried to keep you out of. One woman I know ended a long, toxic friendship without a single word. They were once inseparable until she realized she was always the one clapping, always the one supporting, always the one sacrificing. And when it was her turn, silence. So she gave them a taste of their own medicine. She didn't argue. She didn't post cryptic quotes. She just stopped calling. She stopped sharing. She stopped showing up. And while they whispered about her disappearance, she built her brand, her confidence, her circle. Today, she doesn't even remember their birthdays because she's too busy celebrating herself. This is what real growth looks like. Not loud, not bitter, but clear. You outgrow chaos when you start craving peace more than attention. You outgrow people when you start loving yourself enough to walk away from anything that feels heavy. And the win? Oh, it hits harder when it's silent. When you let your success scream everything you never had to say. When your evolution becomes the loudest clapback. You see, in the end, they'll say you changed, and you did, but not for them. You changed for your peace, your power, your purpose. You stopped explaining, stopped begging, stopped dimming your light so others could feel comfortable in their darkness. You chose silence over noise, strength over sympathy, and progress over pity. That shift, that transformation, that is your rebirth. And the world can feel it. Because here's the truth. The most powerful move a woman can ever make is no longer being available to people who never respected her presence. The loudest scream is silence. The most violent revenge is glowing without noise. You want to break their ego? Don't argue. Just evolve. Want to make them regret losing you? Don't post. Just prosper. You don't need to block. You don't need to beg. You need to build in silence, with grace, and with fire in your eyes. Life will test you with people who try to drain your soul, dim your spark, disturb your balance. But each test is not to destroy you. It's to reveal the woman within you who no longer plays small. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to break patterns, to break generational silence, to break hearts, not by hurting them, but by healing yourself so deeply they no longer recognize the woman who once begged for their attention. You don't win by shouting. You win by showing. Show up in places they thought you'd never reach. Show up in rooms they said you weren't built for. And when you get there, don't apologize for arriving. Because remember, work hard in silence. Let your success be the noise. That wasn't just a quote. That was a prophecy. The moment you stop responding to chaos, you start creating legacy. And the moment you stop performing for love, you start owning your worth. You're not here to compete. You're here to conquer. You're not here to fit in. You're here to lead. You're not just healing. You're rising. Like every queen who ever carried pain and turned it into purpose, there will be days where you'll doubt yourself. That's normal. But even in those quiet moments, you must remember, you were not given this fire just to keep you warm. You were given it to burn down everything that isn't you. Every rejection, every betrayal, every closed door was a divine redirection. You were never meant to be there. You were never meant to stay small. So rise, let them call you cold. Let them say you've changed. Let them whisper. Because while they talk, you build. While they watch, you walk. While they plot, you glow. You are not for everyone, and you are never meant to be. A diamond doesn't beg to be discovered, it just shines. And so will you. Think of every woman who became legendary. None of them did it by pleasing people. They did it by trusting their silence, honoring their boundaries, and working when no one was clapping. You want a crown? Carry your cross first. You want to win? Learn to walk alone first. Because the road to power is not crowded. It's silent. It's sacred. And it's yours. And when the dust settles, when the noise fades, when they realize you never came back, that's when your absence will echo louder than your presence ever did. That's when they'll know you didn't disappear, you ascended. You didn't give up, you grew up. And the woman you've become, she doesn't react, she creates. She doesn't chase. She doesn't fight for a seat, she builds her own table. So go ahead, don't react. Just do this. Choose yourself again and again. Walk away quietly, unapologetically. Love deeply, but protect fiercely. And as you do, watch them crumble under the weight of their own doubt, while you rise higher than they ever imagined possible. You are the storm they never saw coming, the calm before the empire, and the woman they'll never forget.